And they're not specific to one area, and they're not specific to one person, and they're not specific to one demographic, because they're sort of meant to be able to be encompassed by anybody, everybody. And lots of people, when they take it, they say, I really have no opinions on some of these items, but some of these items I do feel strongly about. And when we look at it, we're gonna say, okay, well, in these areas, this is where what people are saying is needed, and in these other areas, this is what people are saying is needed. And then we at the health department can look at it and try and see how we can best fill the need. And I do apologize if you really feel like you've been sort of left out of the system. That's usually not what we want anybody to feel.
It's not your fault. You don't have to apologize.
I can tell you, I'm not sticking up for her or some, you know. What they did do, they have the, God, I can't think of it, out there where if you have someone who's homeless, who needs attention, we can take them out there and then they'll help them if they're have an alcohol problem and stuff. They'll point them to another entity. So that is new, and I'm not one to take up for the city.
I work for.
No, I'm not.
I work for the Wyandotte Center, and you know we work with mentally ill people,
Right.
Drug addicts,
Right.
You name it.
That's something we never had
and
when I first came on the department.
And the
We
thing
never
about
had-
it is, ever since I've been in there, they've been cutting back on these services.
Have they? Well, see, we can never take them there.
That's right. Well, they've been cutting back on the facilities for mentally ill people also.
Well, right, statewide, yes, I agree with you totally.
I mean, so.
In fact, they just reopened Osawatomie.
Yeah.
They just reopened that, what, year or so ago?
Mm-hmm.
Little bit.
We were surprised that a group of seniors made a trip down there, and we were surprised that they had patients down there.
Yes, they,
So, you know,
I'm scared to go down there, my kids.
it's a lot of mentally ill people out on the streets.
Right.
If they do something, where do they go? They take them to jail.
they used to be, but they never fixed it.
Well, they don't have other facilities where they can take them.
Well,
See, so, and they got a waiting list at Osawatomie.
well, what I'm saying is, they also give them, there's other agencies out there that'll help them with the homeless, you know, the homeless shelters and all that.
Yeah.
And that, yes, and that's something we never had before. Like if we, tomorrow morning, we get a guy who's, you know, maybe drunk, doesn't have a home, or wants help with it, we could take him out there and they'll try to get him hooked up with services. That's something we didn't have when I first came on the department. You were just, sorry, good luck to you. You know, there's, I hate to be cruel, but that's new, but
The healthcare services, you know, without the Affordable Health Care Act coming in, it'd be millions of people without insurance to get help when they need something. You get preventive medicine and stuff, which, you know, was almost unheard of. People going to the emergency room, you know, stacking up bills and stuff like that, you know. But bottom line is, you know, the services we have is not enough. They're really not doing the job that need to be done.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, half the people we take out there that are homeless are on drugs, whatever. It's not gonna help them. I mean, they're going to go back to doing their same way. Part of it's just their choice.
And that's the whole thing, I guess, when you read this, study the study.
But
What you're saying is absolutely correct, and we need to deal with the problem. We'll dealing with the symptoms, and the reason why we deal with the symptoms this is the same as, I'm gonna start a new business. This is it. When they set up the community health thing, it was the same as going and starting a new business that provided a lot of jobs. That's all this was for. And I know that sounds crazy. Matter of fact, when they did this, when they started having the meetings, they had the first meeting, I went. First, the people on the committee, the area that's affected negatively most by health is what part of the city?
Down here.
Okay. There was one African-American on the committee, and he was on the advisory committee. And so I told the mayor, I said, you know that, number one, he ain't gonna show up. Y'all always pick that group of people that ain't gonna be involved. And so when they set up the first meeting, which they had up to Children's Campus, I went. And the room was full, they had people from the state, because they were trying to address it, and the guy was talking, said, we're gonna get the faith-based and the faith-based community, we're gonna go to a faith-based community. And that was the whole point, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. And they had, the room had about 75 people in it, so I said, after you finished, everybody didn't come, so I said, you speak of the faith-based community, well, that's a faith-based community. Is there anybody in this room for the faith-based community? Since you geared everything about what they was gonna do.
I don't think people understand things like, I was, till yesterday, I was on the executive board of the FOP. People don't know this. Every year, we take kids, mainly from down here, and we'll take them out to Walmart and let them go shopping, and we'll pay for it.
That doesn't solve anything.
I know, but what I'm getting at is, like, one kid had to take, he said, can I get a new pair of shoes? Sure. And he lifted up his shoes, it was a big hole. And I don't think people understand that.
But I'm not cutting you off. We understand that. We understand that completely. The whole basic, let me ask Megan, in the report, the 2009, 2011, 2013, what did they say is the basic cause of all these health problems?
One of the biggest causes was
No, they said what was the base. They said in all reports what
lack
the
of
basic
jobs,
cause.
I think, was
What's
it.
that?
Unemployment was one of the probably
Yeah,
biggest.
that's the whole problem. That's why I asked if you read the report. Because not only, I just didn't read it, I studied and sat with people who understand this and who have made inroads in different cities on this. And that's what gets so frustrating. At that meeting, when they had the breakout session from that thing where they kicked this whole thing off, go back and look at it, well, if you can. And they had the people where they would have this up on the screen where you point, you say, we agree. The breakout room that I was in had about 20 people in it, and so every time they put something up, there was always one thing who was opposite of what most of them was. So finally, by halfway through, they stopped and said, I know we're not supposed to do this, we've got somebody who's just totally off from everything. I said, it's me. After the meeting, the guy who was head of that time, who was head of the health department, who is now an assistant city administrator, he called him over at the breakout session and said, I don't know what you're trying to do in this meeting, but let me tell you one thing. Now, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? He's assistant city administrator, was head of the health department. Said, I'm not gonna let you come in trying to, I'm trying to disrupt, I'm merely stating my opinion. And he said that you're trying to disrupt the meeting, and I, just like I did Commissioner Barnes. So what the hell you think you're talking to? I'm no boy. And every time I see him now, he just grins. So that's where I'm coming from. And I'm saying, do the right thing. Why is, but there's no intentions, in my opinion, to do the right thing. I've got a stack that thick with the letter that I wrote Beard and his response when he kicked off. And I'll report it, see the report marked up. And I said with my daughter, who, as far as public health, is one of the best in this country. She's heads the School of Public Health at a university. And I realize I'm talking too much. They had a county in Florida. First, let me say, the state of Florida recruited her from CDC to set up a school of public health in Florida, because they only had one in the whole state. It was 21 years ago. She set the program up. They had the same problem with the death rate of infant-mortality rate. What they did was they sent a team in, and she was one of those who went in and said, what are some of the problems? And the problem is not usually what you think, because we use the same methods. And there were simple problems. Number one, you assume that the lady's just not going to the doctor, not going to get the prenatal care. But the question was, why were they not going? Number one was transportation was a problem. But the biggest problem is once they got where they were going, when they walked in the door with the receptionist, said, well, these are some more people on welfare, and so they were reacted negatively to them. Now that's when they first met the receptionist. When they finally got to wherever they was going to the doctor, they got the same thing, and so 80% of them didn't go back. If they went to the hospital, they got the same reaction from the first person they met because of the stereotype they have that people who are poor or maybe on welfare, they're bad people. So then when they brought this up and did the thing, there was some pushback from the city who said, we're not doing this. There was a pushback from the hospital said, we're not doing this. And so, but fortunately, the commissioners or the council said, no, you're gonna look at that. And once the people in the health departments and in the hospital changed that damn attitude, the thing literally, the bottom fell out. It worked. Okay, then what they did with the people in the community, a lot of the young ladies who needed help, and they came from office, some of them, I don't use the term dysfunctional, of course I don't use the term dysfunctional family, is that they got some elderly people in the community, elderly women who are home every day, and I'm not gonna pick on Miss Harrison or Miss Newton, but here are two ladies here who has all kinds of knowledge in dealing with young folks. They set up them and gave them a stipend to consult and talk to those people, rather than the people who they sit down there who talk all this crap. And within 3 years, the whole thing had completely turned around. That same program was offered here in Kansas City, Kansas. And if you go and ask Maureen up there in the mayor's office and see what happened. And my daughter offered to come here and help. You think I'm not pissed off?
No.
And to give a survey, and I'm telling you what happened. It's not, because I don't jump on anything. I believe in trying to offer a solution first. I don't just jump out and raise hell. I believe if you're gonna have a complaint, you ought to at least have some type of solution. So I realize I'm talking, and here again, maybe I'm not.
Well, they don't like me up there either, so.
I'm telling you, that's what happened here in Kansas. If you don't, they would ask Maureen in the mayor's office if this was an offer. And my daughter finally sent them an email and said, take my name off that list. And the only reason why, well, when they apply for a grant, I probably should say this, on the Trust for America's Health, on the board, there are 2 people with Kansas City, Kansas ties. 2. Which again points out here what this city has, what it has here, what we have to offer. And one of the things that we do not utilize is our seniors. I'm just not picking on these 2 ladies here, but here you talk to 2 skilled ladies. And who do you give stipend? Who do you pay big salaries to talk to these kids? Please. Just want to, and this probably sounds like a Chester Owens thing, but down at Youthville, you know why my name's down there on that building? You know, they had all the specialists in there talking every day. We need to do this and we need to do that. And finally we went in and took a different approach. I wouldn't get paid and I volunteered going down there 3 days a week for 3 years. And the girl ready to name the building, the kids finally said, no, you're gonna put that name up there. We use the same approach. But it's not intended to solve nothing, it's to give somebody some damn jobs.
That's why the same things keep happening. We keep doing the same thing.
Yeah, a lot of people in influential places, get their relatives hired, friends and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? I've talked to people in places where a supervisor come in and say, well, if you don't hire my son, you're gonna be fired.
Yeah,
You know, so.
that's why I'm not too popular. In fact, I was supposed to get promoted back in 2011, and they stopped right before me. Yeah, I'm not the most popular guy.
That's all right.
That's all right.
As long as you're doing the right thing, that's what's counts, as long as you got
That's right.
moral responsibility. To me, what's going on is so immoral, and a tragedy, that's immoral. To have people, when you think that we have the highest black infant mortality rate, well, the state of Kansas, so the state of Kansas, you got Wichita and you got Kansas, Topeka, Kansas, where you have your black population. So I understand Wichita's may be a little bit higher than Kansas. But when you have that, why not utilize some people who have hands on? They're here. We don't use them. You go to that office now, where you work with the health department, you don't find people who really have access. They got one of me and Hall's buddy, he's not on the health thing, and we know he's just there for a salary. We go, dad was one of Hall's classmates. And it pisses you off.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I
it
know.
really pisses you off when you see how we are being used. But always, like when they put that preacher on there, they knew he wasn't gonna attend no meetings. They knew he wasn't gonna open his mouth to nothing. They knew that's why they put him on there. And I asked him, I said, why don't you go in those meetings? Oh, man, I ain't got time for that. And then when they supposed that they were gonna use a faith-based community, how much do y'all utilize a faith-based community? Since that was supposed to be the home.
You mean us?
No, not supposed to be